Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. So for this deck, this is one that I've seen folks over on the Discord server talking about a little bit. And it's kind of just like the generic good stuff deck. We are on Kashtira, Bystial, Fiendsmith. So the idea here is, I mean, like I just said, we're just playing a bunch of really good cards all in the same deck. But there are some things to definitely note about this build. One of the things that kind of holds it all together in a way is Blackwing's Steam the Cloak, which went from 1 to 3 a little while ago, after I think this card was banned for quite a while actually. So, Steam the Cloak has an ability that says if this face-up card leaves the field, special summon one Steam token, which is an Aqua Wind level 1, 100 attack and defense. If this card is in your graveyard, you contribute one monster. Special summon this card from the graveyard. You can only use this effect of Blackwing Steam the Cloak once per duel. And if this card is summoned this way, is used as secret material. All other materials must be Blackwing monsters. So the idea here is that Steam the Cloak is actually a one-card Fiendsmith line, because you can normal summon Steam the Cloak, link off into Almirage. This will trigger the Steam the Cloak effect to summon a token. You can then tribute that token to bring back Steam the Cloak. Then, by linking Steam the Cloak and Almirage, you go into Moon of Closed Heaven. And you actually get another token on top of that, because if this face-up card leaves the field, special summon a Steam token effect is not once per turn or even once per duel. The once per duel effect is the tribute a monster's special summon this card from the graveyard, but the summoning a token effect is literally any time that happens. So on top of Moon of Closed Heaven, you'll have an additional token. Moon of Closed Heaven, of course, goes into Requiem, goes into Engraver. Then you can link Engraver with your token to make Sequence. And that's how you can take Blackwing Steam the Cloak, again, this one card by itself, normal summon it, and then make Fiendsmith plays. Of course, the Fiendsmith quote-unquote end board isn't a whole lot, right? It's either just going to be Desiree or going into a rank 6 with your sequence kind of like awkwardly sitting on the field. But that's where our supplemental engines come into play. We are playing a very minor Kashtira engine, as you can see here, to sort of get some free bodies from that. But also the Bystials not only provide bodies, but also are a pretty good anti-meta threat in this current metagame. This is kind of like an anti-meta deck. Now, when you think anti-meta, a lot of people tend to think of like stun. They think of like floodgate decks, but at that point, I kind of feel like it's it's almost, is what I meant to say. It's almost become its own like subgenre of like control in a way, stun that is, whereas this is truly a deck that counters specifically this metagame, particularly with the Bystials just being so good right now. We're of course on a couple of Droll and Lockbird. You might be wondering why we're maxing out on Valor with only one Imperm. That is of course because we are playing the Bystial monsters, and we're not like really heavily relying on them, but we do lean on them a fair bit. I do still kind of want to play a third Droll and Lockbird just because it's so good in this meta, but yeah, I mean, like I said, this is pretty much just like 40 good cards in one deck, which is a style of deck that I've always enjoyed playing. It's not that I hate archetypes, but I don't like being prohibited by playing only one archetype. It's not something I'm generally a fan of, as I've often expressed on the channel. This is kind of like a 40-card pile deck in a way. That's actually just exactly what this is. And the fact that it works is very, very cool. It's funny because you almost want to go second sometimes in this deck. Like, if you open Steam the Cloak, then you really, really want to go. I mean, you go first generally in this deck. If you open Steam the Cloak, you're really glad you went first. But otherwise, a lot of the time, unless you open like Engraver, you do kind of end up wishing a lot of time you end up going second. Just because we play so many different hand traps or hand trap, type cards. Oh, I guess I'll say in the extra deck, I did craft Lars, finally. I have been putting this off for way too long, but I did finally craft Evolzar Lars. I summoned it like once, and I think I lost that game anyway, but that wasn't necessarily because I summoned Lars. Well, you know what, actually, I think it was because I summoned Lars instead of High Caesar, but that's not one of the games I saved. But The idea here, of course, being that we not only have the Fiendsmith stuff for level 6, but the Bystials as well. So plenty of opportunities to end up making the rank 6 here. Alright, I think that's pretty much everything I have to say about the build itself. So let's go ahead and break it down card by card, and then we'll look at these games that we got saved here. We're on 1 Fabled Lurie, 3 Effect Veiler, 2 Droll Lockbird, 2 Maxi, 3 Blackwing, Steam the Cloak, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 Volcharmy Fuelos, 1 Bystial Magnum Hut, 2 Bystial Druid Swarm, 2 Bystial Baldrake, 2 Fiendsmith Engraver, 1 Kashtira Fenrir, 2 Kashtira Unicorn, 3 the Bystial Lubellion, 1 Nibiru the Primal Being, 2 Fiendsmith's Tract, 1 Pressured Planet Raitsoth, 1 Branded Regained, 1 Kashtira Birth, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Crossat Designator, and finally 1 Infinite Impermanence. And that is going to be our main deck. For the extra, we're on 1 Fiendsmith's Lacrima, 1 Fiendsmith's Desiree, 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 DDD Wave High King Caesar, 1 Evolzar Lars, 1 Superstar Slayer Typhon Sky Crisis, 1 Link Rebo, 1 Salamangreat Almirage, 1 Fiendsmith's Requiem, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 SP Little Knight, 1 Moon of the Closed Heaven, 1 Fiendsmith's Sequence, 1 Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, and finally 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. There's our list. Let's look at this gameplay. Okay, our first opponent is going to be on Fiendsmith Battery Man. Or not Battery Man, Thunder Dragon. I wish it was Battery Man. No, it's because they're playing the Battery Man. That's, you know, good for Thunder cards in general. But so we're going to take the first turn, and as you can see here, this is not a hand where I generally would want to go first. It's the kind of thing I was talking about in the deck profile, where a lot of hands you really would rather go second. The only real combo piece I have is Fabled Lurie, which, as of right now in Master Duel, is not a one-card full Fiendsmith play by itself. Our opponent shotgunned Maxi during the draw phase, which I'm generally against. I will say, I will admit that ever since Gamma has gone to 1 and very much fallen out of favor, there are far fewer risks to shotgunning the Maxi, but this is a minor one right here. I'm not saying this is something that you should expect to happen all the time, but this is a hand where I was just going to pass anyway, so my opponent is more than welcome to Maxi me during the draw phase. I'm A-okay with that. The cool thing is, too, is that now I don't even give knowledge of my hand away, because my opponent might just assume that I didn't want to make any plays under Maxi, right? So if I just passed without, like, them using Maxi, then, of course, it would have given away that my hand is bad. So you might have noticed here that I activated Fuelos in response to Fabled Lurie, even though Fuelos does not get a draw off of Fabled Lurie. That was not just me clicking yellow buttons. I did actually do that on purpose, and I do quite often if I'm holding Fuelos and Maxi, is I'll activate Fuelos first, even if it's an instance where I wouldn't get the draw. That way, if they have Ash Blossom, Call by Crossset, whatever, they use it there, and then I can resolve Maxi safely. Alright, so we get the draw off the Fabled Lurie here, finding a Druid Swarm. The opponent's going to pass after that. End phase, I can use Druid Swarm, eat their Engraver out of the graveyard, and then summon the Druid Swarm to the field. Top decking Steam the Cloak is a fantastic draw here. We're going to normal summon, then link off for the Almirage. I can then get my token here and activate Steam the Cloak. Here I did misclick, or misplay. I accidentally attributed Almirage instead of my Steam token. However, if you find yourself doing that, you can still actually go into Moon of Closed Heaven by linking your Steam token into Linkery, though. Then you can just use those two to go into Moon of Closed Heaven. So even though I misclicked there, it was actually not that big of a deal. However, the Bystial Baldrake is going to eat the Steam, the Cloak, out of the graveyard anyway. It also puts me in a really kind of tricky position here where I kind of have to think to myself, okay, do I want to crash Druid Swarm into Baldrake and then also send Lurie with Druid Swarm effect, or do I want to battle over the Lurie? I actually end up battling over the Lurie because I realized, oh, I can just link the Steam token into Link Rebo during main phase 2. Then I can link the Link Rebo and Druid Swarm into Little Knight. Now I can Little Knight banish the face down while using Druid Swarm to eat the Baldrake. Now I've gotten rid of my opponent's whole field, and I still have an SP Little Knight going into their turn. Turns out that face down card is imperm, but that doesn't matter. Either way, we just wanted to get rid of it with Little Knight. So, having Little Knight, Maxi, and Droll going into my opponent's 3-card hand, I'm feeling pretty good about that. Especially because our opponent was so hesitant to play under Maxi during the last turn. Okay, they're going for Fiendsmith's Tract. They already have cycled through Lurie, so they're just adding and then sending Engraver. Engraver is going to summon itself here. I'm going to, of course, chain the Maxi, getting a draw off that. Alright, Engraver comes back. And Bystial Lubellion is not a bad top deck. Our opponent just battling over SP is a little annoying, but if that's all they're doing with their turn, I am definitely okay with that. The good top decks keep rolling as we find Pressured Planet Raitsoff. Going to add the Kashtira Unicorn, special summoning that from my hand. Going to add a Birth, they're going to activate an Effect Veiler here, which is, again, a little annoying, but ultimately pretty fine, considering what I still have in my hand. I can activate Lubellion's effect, discarding here in order to add Magnum Hut. From here I can activate Magnum Hut, I'll banish the Baldrake out of their yard in order to summon. We'll go for the search, and at this point they end up conceding. But I still could have kept going, because I think I still had a good amount of my Fiendsmith stuff. I don't think I went into any of my Fiendsmith stuff, did I? No, I definitely didn't. The only Fiendsmith card I had was Lurie. So even without Kashtira Birth to bring back Unicorn, I still could have gone... I still could have just kept the Unicorn on the field. Well, no, I would have had to have linked it off, right? If I go normal summon Lurie... No, I don't, because I also have Magnum Hut. Right, I could go normal summon Lurie, Lurie for Requiem, Requiem for Engraver, Engraver plus Magnum Hut into Sequence, Sequence for Lacrima, Lacrima for Engraver, and if that wasn't lethal, I mean, we're just so far ahead at that point that it's practically game anyway. So, yeah, there's our first duel. Let's check out the next one here. All right, my opponent for this one is on, like, a Raidraptor Kashtira deck. It's mostly Kashtira, but they're splashing just enough of the Raidraptor package to be able to go into Kali Yuga. Anyway, here we're going to go first, leading with Steam the Cloak. As I mentioned before, Steam the Cloak is actually one-card Kashtira line. We get to demonstrate that here. Steam going to then tribute off the token, summon itself. Now we can link Almirage plus Steam into Moon of Closed Heaven. And again, the token summoning effect is not once per turn, so Steam the Cloak will summon another token. And then yeah, from here we just Moon for Requiem. Now we go Requiem for Engraver. And then now we can go Engraver plus Steam token into Sequence. You don't even have to make Link Rebo first, because Sequence is 2 monsters, one of which needs to be a Light Fiend. Gonna put back the Moon of Closed Heaven and Requiem for the Lacrima. Lacrima effect going to bring back the Engraver. Now we could go into a 3-mat Apo if we wanted, but I'm gonna go for the Wave High King Caesar, and then because I have that extra Steam the Cloak in my graveyard that I don't need anymore, I can just banish it to summon Magnum Hut. This will give me a search for another Bystial during the main or the end phase rather, and then I can link off into SP and have that on my end board as well. I like SP High King Caesar, I think, a little bit more than a 3-mat Appaloosa. So this is kind of like something I've said a lot about Appaloosa, and this is really where you're seeing me putting my money where my mouth is. I think that a 3-mat Appaloosa actually getting 3 monster negates is so unbelievably and ridiculously optimistic that I just don't even think it's realistic. I think it's a bit of a pipe dream. I would rather diversify my disruption between SP and Wave High King Caesar as opposed to putting it all into one Appaloosa that can get triple tack, that can get hit with a top-decked Imperm, which is unlikely in itself, to be fair. Could get hit with any number of board breakers. Could even just get hit with one, you know, use one negation and then get battled over, right? So yeah, I definitely would rather have SP plus High King Caesar than a 3-mat Apo. Easy, easy, easy. There we go, right there, actually. That's actually, I totally forgot this opponent was going to do that. Sinful Spoils of Subversion. Like I said, a board breaker card. If I had 3-mat Apo, that would have been all my disruption out the window. But in this case, I at least have the SP Little Knight. They're going to set one, go for Call By on the Engraver. I'm going to take a little bit of a chance and call Crossout with Call By. It's a little bit of a chance, or called Call By with Crossout, rather. It's a little bit of a risk because I do have Call By the Grave as my other face down card, but I figured between SP, Ash Blossom, and Druid Storm I'd probably be fine, and that did end up being the case. Now here I'm in a little bit of an awkward spot because I can't really go for any Link monsters unless I use Little Knight as a Link material. Going through my extra deck and knowing what I have, I'm pretty confident I would not be able to OTK this turn, so I decided to just battle with Engraver and Little Knight, set Larry, and pass. The other reason, the main reason I was confident about doing this is because during the last turn, my opponent didn't end up doing anything, right? They went Subversion, Call by, set 1, pass, right? So if they're relying on a top deck, we still have Little Knight, Ash Blossom, Druid Swarm, and Call by all to act as disruption here. They're going to go Normal Summon Pathfinder. I Ash Blossomed. I really should have just used Call by here, though. That was a bit of a misplay on my part. I jumped the gun a little bit. I was like, oh, ooh. But yeah, that's going to be their only card they have here. So they're just going to pass back over to me. And I don't really even have to summon this Druid Swarm. I can just move to battle phase. And realizing that, my opponent will end up conceding. Good stuff. All right, we have one last duel to show off. Let's finish with that one. Okay, our final game is going to be against Fiendsmith, Azamina, Snake Eye. Now, I don't normally show replays that are only one turn, but I wanted to talk a little bit about how I use my hand traps as I go second here. As you can see, I open a very good going second hand, Valor C Fuelos with, plays on the follow-up turn. But it's going to start with Unicorn, add Birth. I did not feel the need to Valor the Unicorn here, because even if my opponent is playing Kashtira, look, even if my opponent's playing Kashtira and my only card is Effect Valor, I could still use it later on the Rise Heart, or on the Rise Heart, and then that'll stop it from going up to level 7, which will screw up their plays, so. And so we're going to go for Deception here. Deception Tribute Unicorn in order to add Hallowed Azamina. Now they're going to activate Kashtira Birth, and activating Kashtira Birth to bring back Unicorn. You'll note, I'm a little ahead of myself with the Diabell. You'll note that I did not activate Maxi in response to Birth. And you might be thinking, Hex, was that a misplay? Did you misclick? No, that was actually 100% intentional. This is something I talked about earlier, was using Fuelos to bait stuff that could counter Maxi. To be fair, I maybe should have just chained Fuelos to the activation of Birth and then just chained Maxi afterward. But I also figured that I could get my opponent in a situation where they've committed more of their resources, right, to the board, and then I could hand trap them. And then even if they want to end their turn under Maxi and Fuelos, then they won't have the ability to make a follow-up play. Sorry, I paused in the middle of that. I had to figure out what the other half of that sentence was, or rather how I wanted to phrase it. I knew what I wanted to say, but... Okay, so now in response to Hallowed Azamina, I'm going to activate Fuelos. And sure enough, they do actually have a Called by the Grave. I guess the other reason you could argue to not activating Fuelos in response to Birth is that they wouldn't Call by there. Then I Maxi and they Called by anyway. And then they can simply play around Fuelos and not give me any draws. But here, I'm going to guaranteed get draws off the Maxi. Not that I need them, because I did open Engraver, but there's actually a lot of different ways you could have used those hand traps there. People see that you open Maxi plus Fuelos, and they assume that you just auto-win at that point. And of course, if you open those going second, I won't deny your odds of winning are greatly increased. But there is still a nuance to when you use them. You'll also notice I'm not using Effect Valor yet. That's because I want to wait for the Snake Eye Ash is my thought process here. I really don't care about the Unicorn extra deck rip in this deck at all. Well, I guess I do care about losing my Fiendsmith stuff. I think they did take Sequence there. No, they took Requiem. Alright, Moon of Closed Heaven, finding me another Bystial Lubellion. They're going to go for Hallowed Azamina again, activating in order to send the OSS for Ilia Sylvia. Which, if they want to play into my, Maxi with the Ilia Sylvia up, I'm completely fine with that, especially this Effect Valor in hand. Okay, now we find Ash Blossom off that draw, and then a Droll and Lockbird here. And here's where I knew I just won the game, right? Because they go OSS, I'm going to activate Ash Blossom. Naturally, they're going to go Ilia Sylvia. And then now they've used up their Omni Negate. So now, once they resolve original Sinful Spoils and add Snake Eye Ash to hand, I can activate Droll and Lockbird. Now, even if they normal summon Snake Eye Ash, they can't add Poplar. They can't add anything. They could go normal summon Snake Eye Ash effect, tribute Ash and Requiem in order to summon, like, Oak, and they could Oak back Ash, Oak F, tribute Oak F with Requiem to summon Flamberge. Wait, wow, they can have, like, full Snake Eye combo under Droll there. Granted, I have Effect Failure, so if they normal summoned Ash, or I guess if they went for Oak, I guess, I'd probably just negate that anyway. But they just concede. But although I'm thinking about it here, and they could have actually made plays under the Droll and Lockbird in this situation. Also, I'm fine drolling myself. You might be saying, but Hex, if you droll, then you stop getting draws off Maxi. And it's like, that's completely fine. I have plays going into my turn, and they can't do anything. So I'm totally fine using droll. Huh, so I did still need to have Effect Veiler in order to actually win that game. My opponent conceded early there. They didn't know I had Effect Veiler necessarily, so that's interesting. It's interesting to think about, but... Okay, that's going to go ahead and do it for not only that game, but this video. So thanks for watching all the way to the very end. Super duper appreciate it. That is, as I often mention, the best way to support the channel. So those of you who are listening right now, thank you. You are among my greatest supporters, including, of course, also the YouTube members and patrons. But that's going to do it for now. So let us move on to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's, again, free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up, and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out. But more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.